understanding God through love. So the first thing you must know about love is that love doesn't mean loving God direct. A lot of us are still thinking like that today, that we can just love God direct without man. That I don't need anybody. I just need God. And we think that is spiritual. And we think we are talking some big grammar, some big spiritual stuff. I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody. I just need God. I want to love God. No, you can't. Because you cannot love God without loving people. God doesn't accept that kind of love. God only accepts the love for him when it comes through loving people. That's why it says in the, in that Gospel of the Samaritan, when Jesus said I was naked, I was hungry, I was in the hospital, I was in the prison. Those are all the point that Jesus was trying to make. So you cannot love God direct and just go and love God alone. And because of that wrong concept that we think we can love God direct, what we do is that we take our money, our tithe, and take everything to church. Because we think that is the way to love God direct. But really, that is less powerful as when we use that money for human being. It is when we use that money for human being that is more powerful. And that is the point Jesus was trying to make when he said the man should tell all the things he had and he shouldn't take them to church after he sold everything. He should sell everything and use everything, not for church, not for pastors, not as tithe, not as offering, not even take anything to church. He should use everything he has sold and use everything to take care of the needy, the poor. Go and give everything to the poor. Because you cannot, that is the best way to love God. When you can take care of his image, people who are in his image. So whenever you hear love in this New Testament, it means loving people. It is you love God by loving people. It is through loving people that you can prove to yourself that you love God. So that is the first thing you want to know when we're talking about love. So the second thing you want to know is that loving God, when you love God, so you cannot love God without loving people, number one. Number two, you love, what does loving God, what will loving God do for you? Number one, loving God will make you love people. Number two, loving God will bring you to the knowledge of God. Once you begin to love God by loving people, or once you begin to love people, you begin to experience what God experiences to people and towards people. Once you begin to love people or loving God by loving people, you begin to experience what it means to love people. What God experiences when you begin to have the same feelings like God. By knowing the feelings of God towards people and by knowing what God feels when he loves us, you are knowing. You know God's feeling means knowing God. So by loving people and by living a life of love, you discover God. You begin to know God through love. Love makes you to love. Loving God makes you to love people. Loving God makes you to discover God, to know God. And thirdly, loving God will lead you to understanding God's perspective and God's value system and where God comes from. You begin to understand, this is why God behaves like this. Now I see. Because you are experiencing his feelings. You are experiencing what he experiences towards man. That is how you understand God. So we know God, we understand God when we love people. And thirdly, the love for God like that, or love for people, will bring you to a place of unity with God. Loving God makes you to become like God. And that is what leads us to the topic of today. Loving God is to be like God. Once you begin to love God like this, you will begin to know him. The more you love God, the more you not just know him, but the more you begin to understand him. The more you love God like this, the more you don't just know and understand him, but the more you begin to get closer to him and you begin to be united with him and become one with God. And therefore, to love God is to love people. To love God is to know God. To love God is to understand God, and to love God is to be united with God, and to love God is to be like God. Hello everybody, DSA here. I would like us to spread this word together. Let the gospel of the kingdom conquer the world. We only need you to help us take 5 simple steps. What are these steps? 1, go ahead and like the video, please, if you have not yet done that. Number 2, we need you to subscribe to this channel. Have you yet subscribed? You not yet done it? Go do it now. Number 3, you need to press and click on that bell. You see the bell there? That will give you notification of every video that we do. Then the next thing you need to do, write your comments. Let's know what you think, good or bad. And then of course you have other platforms like Instagram, like Facebook. Share this video on your other platforms. All right? Let's win the world for Christ. Peace.